for show.
And good morning. It's July 31st, 2024, 9 o'clock. Hey, Jenny, did you hear about the man who is stealing wheels from police cars? Police are working tirelessly to catch him. Second, from Brian Lightfoot, did you know the short fortune teller who escaped from prison was a small medium at large? Thank you, Brian. Missed you yesterday. I noticed you weren't here. I hope I'm right about that. I'm going straight to, there's a Victor for you. Oh, there are some changes in the SpeakerBot messages. And the trailer today came from a request from Alice in the chat room yesterday. I don't think I've seen her.
Tim Tex said, I missed you, Doug, HRU.
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, and I don't see her in chat this morning. And I got the trailer that she requested. She said, I would like to see a trailer with giant pandas. So you got what you got. We had significant conversation yesterday in the chat room about using a USB external drive connected to a router. And I don't have these numbers memorized. Let's see. Wintermute tried a T. That was, who was that? Oh, that was a Tiger. Now that says randomly not functioning or something like that. Yeah, because that turned out to be one of the problems that happened yesterday towards the end. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Don't have that one figured out yet. I tried several different troubleshooting things programmatically.
Sarcasm alert.
Didn't work. Oh, now that's interesting. Sarcasm alert. That was supposed to be Stormy. What did I not fix there? Because that was all stuff that I did early this morning. Yeah, I should deactivate it, turn that one off, and then Stormy should be triggered by S. I've neglected to change that. And that one's still called sarcasm. So the command needs to be changed from
Official Tim Tech said, good golly, Miss Molly.
To Stormy.
John Williams said, good morning, Doug.
Let's see if that works better now. Good morning. John William, I saw the challenges going back and forth between you and Ken Stout about your drive, and I totally understand needing a vacation from the vacation after coming back. That's why I don't take vacations. I don't go away. Yeah, there's Stormy. And it's happening correctly, but Princess, still just not right.
Ken Stout Live said, such a Doug, makes changes, forgets to save, then exclaims, why doesn't that work?
Oh, that save doesn't really do much. I hardly ever save. That save thing here is just not needed. I've routinely just not save. And that doesn't do anything. I don't quite understand what that save function does, but you can make changes in SpeakerBot and StreamerBot all day long and restart your computer, and your changes are still coming up. I don't know what they really mean when they say save. There are so many things in StreamerBot that do not work the way that you would presume, particularly the random functions and or folders, groups. You can't make subgroups. Ugh. All right, coming back to this conversation. USB 2.0 is 480 megabits per second. 3.0 is 5 gigabits per second. 3.1, 10 gigabits per second. Zavi Minor, he correctly was questioning what doesn't matter. Speed depends upon the bandwidth between the computer and the router and the disk. But the person that I don't even remember who had the issue at the time. They were looking to buy a new router. So as far as we know, they might have had the capability of a 2.5 gigabit per second network. Well, then the 3.0 would have been sufficient. But there's also future proofing. So by the higher speeds capable. Wintermute gave us this link for a router that has a USB-C port, but it was only 3.0 speed, so that'd be this 5 gigahertz. I'd rather, there's so few routers available that provide a USB-C port that I'd be reluctant for somebody to buy this router if it's not actually advantageous to them. And it has a type A and a type C, and it has power over here. So this type C is not relied upon for power. The files you want is over the network, so speed dependent upon the network speed certainly is. But if a person is and the speed, like we talked about yesterday, my position yesterday, and I'm not researched up and studied up on this, is that if you have multiple computers trying to access that device connected to the router, then having excess speed between that USB SSD and the router is useful, even if each computer individually isn't up to that speed due to the network, but you're sharing. Windows, now then this is Jeff's issue, and I heard what he said last night. Down here a ways, he says that this restarting FDRP solved the problem, but then apparently that didn't, because he can see each computer from the other computer, but he can't actually access shared resources from the old computer, and he currently thinks that might be due to the network adapter in the old computer, because he knows that it has not been able to function properly with Bluetooth for some time. So he's suspicious of that. Network adapters are very inexpensive. So that'll be an easy solution if that's actually it. Most home routers only have 1 gigabit wired ports. Yeah, but he was looking to buy a
Ken
new
Stout
router.
Live said, what subgroups aren't working?
Subgroups. Groups, not groups with a T. Yeah, he was looking to buy a new router, so he can buy the capability that he wants to have. I'm not going to read through all of these because we did go through them all yesterday. I just captured them as I was reviewing chat in case we want to go back to it. Now, this is where Ran Israel, I didn't notice that in chat yesterday. When I brought up the subject of master browser, it's a net BIOS feature, and I don't think peer-to-peer networking is that kind of a obsolete technique? Are we not so reliant on that anymore? I don't really know that. The master browser is configured and controlled automatically, but in a peer-to-peer network, what I remember reading back in the Windows 95 days is that the computers will negotiate between each other who's going to be the master browser. And then that theoretically would be remembered among all of those computers. But that just didn't seem to be real reliable. Do peer-to-peer networks still rely on one of the computers being the master browser? I don't know. Rand, do you know that answer? Yeah, browsing issues since Windows 7, Windows 95 for me. Oh, this one, John Downey said he had an issue with the PC hacker. Don't know if I addressed his comment. So yes, I had addressed his comment prior to that point, and I did wind up sending him a reply to the comment. Is he in chat today? Just scrolling through in OBS, scanning for John Downey. I don't see him. I'm curious what the PC hacker issue
Rian
was
Israel said for
that you
modern
had.
operating systems, NetBIOS is redundant. There are other TCP/IP-based protocols for discovery.
Yeah, that makes sense. I thought there was something along the lines of that, Rand. So thank you for chiming in with that. You clearly are more up to date on that. For modern operating systems, NetBIOS is redundant, but it's still there for backward compatibility, I suppose. There are other TCP/IP based protocols for discovery. Yeah. Londog saying peer-to-peer networks don't have a master computer or central server. Instead, each computer in the network acts as both client and server. No, you're missing. Your master browser was a thing, and it was a thing in peer-to-peer networks. And I'm suspecting it's still there, but it's not really what we rely on because TCP/IP has newer and better things. And it wasn't called a master computer. It wasn't a server. It was a master browser. It's essentially kind of a service. Let's see. Let's get back here. Oh, that FD-Res pub last night. So somebody told how to find that in services. So I did see that after the show. I'll just go show that for the other people. Let's see, that was function discovery. So if I go down to the F's, I was looking for that name in here, but he gave us in chat the FDP host, I think. And I was looking for FDP host in here. And chances are, yeah, FDP host there. So yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Oh, and that is set to manual. Or was it this one? No, it was this one. FDRP. Yeah, I remember, because FDR, I was thinking of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So it was FDRP is the one. FD ResPub. Yeah, that sounds familiar. That's what we're actually dealing with. FDR ResPub. Yeah. The long name, this was the long name for that service. So I'm thinking when Jeff stopped that service and restarted it, that he was then able to see the older computer from the newer computer, but later discovered he wasn't able to access resources. Oh, and this comment here about air gap. Jeff said these are hardwired together through a switch, no router involved. The router is involved because it is connected to the switch. The router assigns the IP addresses. It may not actually be performing a routing service because it's not routing from the one computer to the other computer. That communication happens through the switch, but there's still a router involved. That's just a matter of what? Terminology. The router wasn't stopping the communication. It wasn't responsible for the communication in peer-to-peer network. You can connect the computers directly to each other without even having a switch, and I've done that. You'd make what's called a crossover cable. You cross two of the pairs on one side so that you have essentially what amounts to, well, a crossover connection, not a straight through connection. Switches provide the function of swapping the wires essentially to be a crossover between the connected computers. But if you make a crossover cable where they're not connected the same on the plugs on both sides, then you can have two computers directly connected, but you have to give them static IP addresses and set up your subnet right, and there's not going to be any gateway involved in that case. Well, you know, Windows computers can actually assign their own IP address if they don't find a DHCP server. Will those be compatible with each other? You know what? I don't know. That might not. I did that a long time ago and did the static IP addresses. I think maybe auto addressing wasn't available then. I don't know. Let's see.
Rand Israel said yes, they would.
They would pick up their own IP address. Yeah, that makes sense. Because when a DHCP server isn't available or isn't talking, I've seen computers pick up a address without getting the right address assigned from the DHCP server, which is a function for most people that's included in your router. Tim Cruz says peer-to-peer networks don't have a central server master computer. Oh, I already read that. Didn't that come from Londog earlier? Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's not a master computer. It's the master browser service. And if you're doing a Google search on that, yeah, it'll tell you there's no central server or master computer. But master browser is a different animal. Decentralization makes peer-to-peer networks more resilient and scalable. That doesn't seem right because there's no single point of failure. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of points of failure.
Rand Israel said link local, or 8 fiki pipa. Addresses aren't suitable for internet use, but for internal peer-to-peer networking, they're okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ken Stout Live
Makes
said, if
sense.
I can copy and paste a comment, will you reread it, please?
Oh, if you copy and paste somebody else's comment to make you seem smart. I think Tim may have copied and pasted that from a Google search rather than from Londog's comment, because that looks like a Google response.
Ken Stout Live said he got it.
Oh, I got the joke. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Today, even with ongoing deployment of Internet Protocol IP6, its successor, it sounds like that's another Google copy and paste. Yes, I did. Peer-to-peer, think Napster. Yeah, this is a different peer-to-peer. When you got peer-to-peer within your own local network, that's your computers being the peers.
LJ said hit the like button.
Thank you, Alice. Alice, did you see the trailer this morning? It's what you asked for. But with Napster, that's peer-to-peer in the sense that it was you're sharing files between your computer and Napster, and those P2P services out on the internet, they would typically make use of your computer's resources to store files that can be shared with other people. Those are not good, because people turn that on and not realize what their computer's being used for. Could have been used for illegal activity. Alice says, yes, she saw the trailer. Glad you liked it. Oh, and that trailer, it told about how pandas will rub their scent onto the bamboo to see if there's other pandas in the area who are interested in mating. Well, bamboo can be used as tinder to start fires. Now you know how the website or app called Tinder got its name. Ba-dum-bop. We're talking history. You want to bring up Napster. You want to bring up cross-link cables. Let's bring up Windows XP, Windows 3.1. How about DOS? How about Lantastic? Oh, Kerry's show yesterday, I really enjoyed him telling the stories about wired networking and wireless networking and the problems he's come across. Man, I have a similar story for about every one of those that he talked about. I very much enjoyed that. So there's Lantastic and ArcNet and Token Ring and the RG62. Yeah, that was RG62 for coax. RG58. I think 62 was for cable TV, 58 was for networks. And there was the 4-conductor telephone wire that we could use to connect computers together in a network. What was that one called? Well, I think Lantastic did that. Yeah. Frosty Winnipeg, I remember messaging people on Napster and thanking them for the song share. Yeah, what? Napster could have been used for illegal activities? Who would have thought? What was some of the others? Can't think of those names right off. Yeah, I come across a computer and find that in the system tray and go, and then have some explaining to do to the client. Let's see. I was thinking that I would set up the additional music thing that I want to get to. I'm not sure I want to do that though. Or not today. Could you please open it during the live session from Tim Cruz? Ring topology, yeah. Star topology, bus topology. Let's go ride a bus, everybody's. And the star topology is what I was describing yesterday for Comcast. And let's see here, Tim Cruz's email. Here are some ways to share media on Xbox 2 and Xbox 360. Windows Media Player, connect the Xbox 360 to network, then install Windows Media Player app on a Windows device. Next, open the app and select Stream. Turn on media streaming. The Xbox 360 supports the following video file formats. Yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, all right. That's about as far as my interest goes with Xbox 360. Bulletin board services, absolutely. We had a local computer users group here. We probably, in our heyday, had well over 100 members and maybe as much as 60 attending monthly meetings. And one of our members ran the bulletin board service. You put your phone, your old style phone receiver into a cradle and dial up the BBS bulletin board service to be able to download the freeware that the club's distributing to each other. Obviously, as a group, we are all just awful knowledgeable as a group. We have a lot of history behind us. Proud sys-op of Hotel California. Brian was a sys-op of Hotel California. I'm not sure if that's, not sure what's behind that. I do not have a redirect set up this morning. Oh, there's something else that I have in today's emails. This was curious. Email that I received. I was questioning myself, is this a scam? Let's see, let's turn that down. Lauren Farisso, not a client, at writeworks.com. I had a client, no longer have them, you know the story, I fired them, that they had the thing called Write Networks. And as I remember, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's how they were able to run desktop versions of Lacert through a virtual computers. So this sounds to me like I was probably on their email list, but this sounds like they're trying to pretend to be them. So get a load of this. Hey, Doug, take a look at the formatting in here. Weird. Now that tax season is winding down, it's a great time to meet your strategy technology advisor for a comprehensive review of your WriteWorks services. Never had anything called WriteWorks, unless they changed their name. But look how the formatting of this is all so weird. Grammar doesn't seem bad. We want to make sure you're aware of our recently added new services and features. You know, the formatting is all weird. Aimed at benefiting firms like yours, together we can identify opportunities for better workflow, security, and profitability, ensuring a seamless and successful experience for your firm's future. Please use the scheduling link below, or feel free to contact me or your advisor directly to set up a time. Your advisor is Terry Mosca, first name, last name. A link for booking an appointment. Down in the bottom left corner, it says Calendly. Oh, got to remind myself. Let's see if I do this and then that. Yeah. And I give a phone number here. I'm just wondering if this is a scam. And even with phone numbers and websites. Now this here is weird too. This email and any files transmitted with it are confidential and intended solely for the use of the individual to whom it is addressed. If you are not the named addressee, you should not disseminate, distribute, or copy this email. Please notify the sender immediately by email if you have received this email by mistake, and delete this email from your system. If you're not the intended recipient, you are notified that disclosing, copying, or distributing, or exposing on YouTube, or taking any action in reliance on the contents of this information is strictly prohibited, including displaying on YouTube. Please note that any reviews or opinions presented in this email, now here's the piece, are solely those of the author and do not necessarily represent those of the company. Now, I've seen lots of corporate disclaimers at the end of emails, but this last sentence, disassociating themselves from anything that their employee says in the role as scheduling coordinator. I just wonder if a person were to respond to that, would this turn out to be a scam? The email address looks like
LJ
legit.
said scam.
I have not investigated it at all. I commonly go down that, follow that scroll down that rabbit hole. Additional punctuation marks sold separately. Ken has a show planned for 1 p.m. Do you actually have that planned or scheduled? If I refresh this page, is it going to show up on my redirects? Customization.
Ken Stout Live said I have a show scheduled. The fan spoke, and I...
It sounds like your speaker bot got cut off midstream. I think my speaker bot recognized who you were, the author of that message, and just cut you off. And no, you cut it off. Now this is a grammar, not quite correct grammar. I have a show scheduled. The fan
Ken Stout
spoke
Live
and
said, I think your speaker bot is broken, eh?
You did this is your chat message. This is what you said. And you're just not very good with your English, are you? Mondog, Doug, did you hear about the North Korean programming engineer who got a programming job at a large corporation concerning important stuff? I did. And as soon as he got connected, they shipped him a laptop. As soon as he connected it, started loading malware onto the company system. Even after they did research.
Said Ken seemed confused.
Yeah, they did research, but they didn't get any on-site.
Ken Stout Live said, no, honestly, it is this mini keyboard I bought not liking at all.
Yeah, I looked into that a little bit further, and they had showed what they were going to do somewhere along the line. I saw what they were going to do to improve their systems, and they want to have an on-site. Somebody go to the address and make sure that person is there, because that person was in North Korea, not at the address that they claimed to be at. Yeah, their systems. I don't think it was a person that noticed uploading some of his work. Their systems caught the malware being uploaded. They cut him off at the knees. Caught him before he did much damage. Blaming it on the keyboard, mini keyboard. Yeah, I have many keyboards. There's this one. There's another one down there. There's some that I have thrown away, sent to electronics recycling. Oh, gee, what about that? It's right on time to get out of here's. Maybe you should go back to English school. Yeah.
Greg M said, read my warning about Macrium Reflect 8.1.
Greg M. All right. I'm about to shut down, so if there's any other messages you want me to catch. Did I tell you how much let me know. Did I tell you how much I love Macrium Reflects purge the oldest backup set if less than X gigabyte? If so, I have gone insane. That option turfed my entire backup from last week. Interesting. I use that a lot, but I'm like, if I have a 1 terabyte backup drive, I'll tell it to delete the oldest if there's less than 100 gigabytes. Well, I'm wondering what were your numbers? What were you set at? Purge the oldest backup set if less than X gigabytes. If so, I've gone insane, meaning he doesn't love it, or maybe he used to love it, doesn't anymore. That option turfed my entire backup. If your backup drive is only large enough to have like 2
Greg
full
M
backups,
said
and that
it does
might
the
be.
check before it images each partition.
Yeah, that's what I expect that feature to do. to do the check before it does the check before it images each partition. Oh, interesting. So when it gets to that last tiny little partition, it might go ahead and delete the oldest backup. If the oldest backup is the backup that was just performed, then that could be a problem. Macrium did not make me aware that the USB storage drive was not connected. Interesting. I think that software should have notified me big time. If you use the paid version, you can set up email notifications so that it lets you know when it failed. If you're using the free version, you don't get that extra feature. When I did some research about this issue, I got some kind of straightforward answers for tracking the problem down, but nothing about, hey, this is broken. This is a problem. Someone in Macrium needs to fix this. Now, if your storage drive is not connected, there's no warning in the free version. I do not believe that email notifications will work when the software just does its normal routine. Well, that's not true. It'll work. I use it all the time. It's not checking for the drive being plugged in. The backup's going to fail.
Said I thought it would perform the check one time before the backup job started.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And that is a problem that happens when how the software developers define what happens. That I've seen that be a problem in lots of different environments, and that's exactly the problem I'm having with SpeakerBot right now. So Macrium Reflect, there's I'm going to bring this up here. I don't remember if I have this set up for Big Beast build. I have it set up for clients, but there's a couple places to do email settings. In defaults, you can set up emails for success. You can set up emails for warnings. You can set up emails for failures. And I do not have them set up for Big Beast build. But that's not enough because that sets defaults for any backup jobs you create after you set those. The backup jobs themselves have their own email configurations. Go into edit and then advanced options and then email over here. You can set success, warning, and failures. This is only available if you have the paid version. And this will let you know if the scheduled backup failed for any reason, including the drive not being connected. And this goes to the issue of whatever software you're using, you have to do the learning curve. You have to learn how it works and not make assumptions. Test how it works. And that's a big pain in the derriere for software. Yeah, only paid versions. Or the trial period. During the trial period, you have a trial of the paid version. So you can use the emails for that. All right. SpeakerBot commands are turned off. And here we go. That button, right? That's the right button. You can watch this video to see how to get free support through this YouTube channel. You can watch this video to see how to get paid support from me directly in private sessions. Watch this video to see how to turbocharge your troubleshooting experience by interacting with this channel. And this video is a recent one on my channel that YouTube thinks you ought to watch. Have a great day, everybody. Catch you later. Goodbye.